deep dive where emotions meet the stars and spirituality takes center stage. Join Sherianna Boyle and Carmen Schott as they explore astrology, mental health, manifesting, and so much more. Two women on a spiritual path, sharing wisdom, stories, and the magic of sisterhood. Ready to dive deep? Let's begin.
You're listening to another episode of Deep Dive. It is the week of April 27th. I'm Sherianna Boyle.
And I'm Carmen Schott. And this is a show about astrology, emotions, and spirituality.
Each week, we're taking a deep dive into your astrology update, which Carmen's going to give you the update in just a moment. And then we'll look at how it impacts your emotions, your relationships, and give you some tips and tools. Absolutely. All right, Carmen, what do we got going on?
Wow. So, we just had, Easter and lots of changes going on here. On April 27th, which is today, we have the new moon in Taurus. So new moon energy, guys, is all about setting intentions and thinking about reflecting on your goals. What do you want to manifest? What do you want to come into your life? So it's like the power of believing and knowing that you can have what you want and trying to figure out what it is you want. Because sometimes, Sharon and I we're talking earlier, and sometimes, we think we want something and then it just doesn't feel quite right, or we change our mind, or like, whoa, wait a minute. It actually is manifesting now, and I don't know if I really want to do this, and so it's okay. So it's kind of like you're kind of like a scientist with spirituality in some of these tools, because it's like you test it out, you experiment, you learn from it, you learn wait a minute, I don't really want to go full time, or I don't really want to do this, and that's how we learn what we really want, So it's listening to our gut instinct. And Taurus, the energy of Taurus is all about being grounded and in tune with our senses, our gut instinct, our sense of taste, smell, sight, touch, is what Tauruses are known for. They're earth signs, so they're very connected to nature. And so there's a grounded energy going on right now because the sun is in Taurus too. And I know, Sherry, you have a birthday coming up in May.
I do. Yeah.
You're on the cusp. You're a Taurus, and one day away from the sun moves in Gemini. But a lot of Taurus energy right now with that new moon in Taurus, sun in Taurus, into Monday, and then the moon will change into Gemini. So we're going to go from kind of feeling a little bit lazy, want to be relaxed, want to,
Where are we here, Carmen? So we're at new moon this 27th, and then Oh, you talking overall for that?
Yeah. Like
okay, gotcha. Okay,
just the Taurus energy. Yeah, gotcha. It's going to just make us feel focused on security, guys. That's what's on Sunday. The new moon in Taurus is going to make you think about, money, finances, security, the future, what you value. That's really what a Taurus new moon is going to affect. It's going to make you think about, what brings you happiness? What do you value? What brings you comfort? And so we're going to be feeling really chill and laid back until the moon goes into Gemini on Monday, later on Monday. Then we're going to be a little restless and more on the go, more physically active, moving more. You'll notice a shift in your emotions when that moon sign changes, because the moon changes every 2 to 3 days. It shifts pretty quickly through each sign, each of the 12 signs. So Gemini energy is going to get us up and going on Monday, and then it kind of goes till Thursday there. And then just one of the big astrological events this week is the planet of love, Venus, enters Aries on Wednesday. And Venus, is the planet of love, relationships, beauty, art, creativity, pleasure. It's also when it goes into Aries, it's going to make us a little bit more bold, a little bit more confident and passionate in love and relationships. And speaking, we're going to be speaking up more, being straightforward, because that's what Aries is known for in the love department, in the relationship department. So just you may feel a little more a desire to speak your mind more with your love interest and your partner. And if you're dating, you might be inspired to start meeting someone and taking it to the next level, or getting out there and getting on a dating site. You know, if you're single, you might have that confidence, like, you know, I'm ready to meet someone, you know, that go-getter energy, which is what Aries is. It's like they want to make things happen. So
I can't believe how fast April went by.
I know.
That Wednesday is the 30th, and that's the last day of the month, and then we'll be going into May. Interesting. It's always amazing to me how many different shifts, how many phases we go through just when you go over that week. And when we, just to take a step back to the manifesting, because here we are, we're on the new moon, and it's Sunday, April 27th. And I think one thing that I've learned from manifesting, Carmen, is it doesn't always have to be a big step.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when we're uncomfortable or we don't like our situations, sometimes we get a little extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got to change everything, nothing, right? And we get those irrational beliefs and statements like, oh my gosh, this isn't working. And we throw everything in, and instead of, nothing's working. Yeah. Like, really? If you look at your life and ask yourself, you mean nothing in their life is working? And if you take a step back and you look at it, you're like, okay, well, maybe there's a couple things. Maybe it's not, not everything needs to be changed.
Yeah. And baby steps.
Baby steps.
It reminds me, it's from that movie, What About Bob? I don't know if you ever saw that movie. It was like a 90s movie about a psychiatrist, and Bill Murray played the patient, and he was scared to leave his house. He was scared to do everything. He was scared to make decisions. He was scared to do anything.
Oh, I have to see
make
that.
And so he told him, baby steps was the thing. Baby steps, Bob. Baby steps, Bob. You know, Bob would do baby steps. But it's a pretty funny movie if you haven't seen it. But I always think of that because it's like he'd just take one step at a time to walk on the sidewalk. He was scared of stepping on those sidewalk cracks, you know. And
that's how you teach people how to overcome fears, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's, you know, the people that have real legitimate, that are, I know a lot of people with fears of going over bridges and public speaking and all that. And I remember having some of those fears.
Yeah. It's a good movie. You have to see.
What is it called? What About Bob?
What About Bob? It has a bunch. It has
Bill Murray. Okay.
The actor Richard Dreyfuss plays the psychiatrist, and Bill Murray, and his son. It's pretty funny in the movie. Just it's all about, you know, facing your fears and stuff. And the psychiatrist has a son that's obsessed with death, and so he only wears black. And Bob, you know, starts stalking the psychiatrist and shows up at their beach home when he's on vacation. So anyway, so he's with his son, and the kid's in the dark with him, and he's in there in the kid's room, and he's like, Bob, I could die. Bob's in like terrified. like death is like right here. Like I just blink, you know, the little kid, you know, and then Bob's like a little kid too, you know. It's a good little movie.
That's it's so true though. Our minds can just inflate everything.
Yeah.
And then we get ourselves in a whirlwind and a tizzy. Does astrology have something to do with that? Do you find?
Yeah, a lot of times that's kind of Mercury energy. So anyone that has Virgo and Gemini in their chart, or when there's a transit of those kind of energies that happens. So like with you, you know, I got a lot of Virgo, so my chart ruler is Gemini, and then you are on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini. So you got Gemini's ruled by Mercury as well. So Mercury, they tend to overthink, overanalyze, and then your nodes, you're a south node Virgo. So you have been a Virgo like me in past lifetimes. So you
really?
overthink. Yes, that's where you get your writing abilities, your gifts of writing and teaching was from the past.
Okay, can say that again. What does that mean when it's the south? Explain this whole astrology thing.
The south node, so there's something called the nodes of the moon in astrology, and everyone has, it's a calculation that we use with the moon. And so there's a south node, and a north node. The north node, the symbol looks like headphones, and the south node, it's upside down headphones. And so the sign that the south node is in is the sign that you mastered in past lifetimes. So those personality traits you have developed and already did. So you've been a Virgo. Your north node is Pisces, which is opposite of Virgo, which is to have faith, trust in the universe, trust your intuition, spirituality, and escaping through the world and doing things of being a service. They're the service nodes. You have the nodes of service, of helping others, but they're the teacher. You've already been a teacher and a writer. And this lifetime, you're doing more deeper spiritual work. Like you've already been a thinker and an analyzer. And I'm a Virgo sun this lifetime, so I overthink and start thinking about, the future too much. Sometimes being in the present is hard because when you have a lot of Mercury, which we do, you're always thinking and you're thinking out. You're thinking about the past sometimes, but you're thinking about the future. And it's hard because your mind is very active. You can't help that. Sometimes in the chart, we just have a very active mind and imagination but the overthinking is a Virgo thing because they can be worriers. They can obsess on little details because they're detail focused. They analyze everything, overanalyze.
What I hear you saying is the Gemini and the Mercury in your chart. So if anyone else has a chart out there that can contribute to this irrational kind of thinking that we've been speaking about, that when you feel like everything needs to be changed, nothing's going right kind of thing. That could be the influence of that.
Absolutely. Because, when, I knew there was somebody I knew once and people would say, he's too smart for his own good. He's too smart because when you're smart, you think too much. You're always when you're when you're a person that's very intelligent, in your head, you think about things that most people don't think about, like I could die. I could get sick, and people I know that have anxiety, some of these teens and that I know, and these kids, they're highly intelligent.
They think about every possible the what ifs kind of thing.
Yeah. And they research and they look online and watch YouTubes about the weather. There's a terrified, I know somebody whose your child's afraid of any storm.
And you can find anything to back up these irrational beliefs now. I mean, there's going to be something there that is going to reflect back your fear. And they're going to say, see, I told you that could happen.
Yeah. You got to think of the positive. And that's why, like, I can't watch scary movies. I can't watch bad stuff because I'm very susceptible. Like, I will be up at night and not sleep. Like, I know myself, like I have to have positive, happy movies, happy songs, whatever, because I'm very imaginative, imagination in our mind, but everyone has a Mercury in their birth chart. So there's, everyone has different energies. All 12 signs are in our chart somewhere. But when you have that Virgo, a lot of Virgo or a lot of Gemini, or your chart ruler is Virgo or Gemini, your rising sign.
Everybody's got a little bit of everything.
Yes, just everyone.
Interesting. I love the past life thing. We do need to take a quick break. If you're just joining us on Deep Dive, we're giving you your astrology update. We do this every Sunday, by the way, on KMET Radio. You can find the replays. So if you miss us on the radio, you can find us at Deep Dive with Carmen and Sherianna on YouTube. Deep Dive with Carmen and Sherianna. Please make sure you subscribe there and hit that like button, and then you'll never miss an astrology update and some tips. And that's what we're going to be giving you next after we take this commercial break. Be right back.
Astrology is energy. Unlock the wisdom of your birth chart with my new book, Your Astrological Energy. Pre-order your copy today and receive 10% off a personal consultation with me. Visit CarmenTurnerSchott.com to claim your special offer today.
When was the last time you took time for you? Hi, I'm Sherianna Boyle, author of the Emotional Detox book series and several other books. I also lead a variety of wellness retreats throughout the year. Visit sheriannaboyle.com/events to find out more and to book your retreat today. Again, it's sheriannaboyle.com/events. Welcome back to Deep Dive. We're talking about this astrology update. And during the break, Carmen, you were just saying something so interesting. I was like, please say this on the show. So what were you just saying?
So for instance, like with me and you, Sherry, like
yes,
when you want to look at what sign the South Node is in your birth chart and what sign the North Node is, and because specifically you will have karma and naturally be drawn to people that have that energy. So I have a lot of Virgo. I have a stellium in Virgo. I have my sun, my rising, my Mercury, my Venus all in Virgo. Your South Node is Virgo. That is why we end up being together this lifetime. We click. We're writing. We're doing shows. We have all these similar interests.
Right.
So it's the same with kids. A lot of times, parents, their children will have the flip nodes of you. That means that you're learning from each other and you each have mastered what your souls are here to learn. So when I do family charts for kids and parents, almost always one of the children has one of the parents' nodes or flip sign.
Interesting. And by the way, you do charts for people, Carmen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if they want, they go to CarmenTurnerSchott.com.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it. I've gotten charts for every one of my family members 2 Christmases in a row now, right, Carmen? Except for, no, I haven't done my husband.
No, we did your mother and your kids. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did my mother. Oh, that's right. That was my Christmas present. Anyway, that's a side note. CarmenTurnerSchott.com if you want to get your chart done so you can follow along on the show. Okay, so that is interesting. I know. Well, guys, and for those of you listening, some of you might not know, but I have another show called Just Us Spirit on KMET Radio. Carmen's on there once a month and does the whole month update, which we're going to be doing this week as well, because we do it at the beginning of the month, so you get that full update. But the reason we started doing this show is Carmen kept telling me, we're supposed to do a show together. I was like, Carmen, really? I don't know, right? And she's like, I'm telling you. So you look at charts.
Yes.
I find that fascinating.
You can see when you look at charts, we call it a synastry chart, and also composite. A synastry is you put 2 people's charts on top of each other, and then you flip them, and you see how, like, I can see how I affect your life in every area of your life, and then how you affect my life. And you can do that with your kids, your partner, your parents, and it's so accurate. And then I analyze how we impact each other. So with me and you, we both have a lot of good stuff in each other's career house, our 10th house of career work. So I knew,
so we complement each other. We help each other out. I think, while we're on this, I was thinking, and one of the reasons I love working with you is because you're trained. You and I are both trained. So our education, I was a school psychologist. You're a mental, what do you
licensed social worker? Yeah. Licensed clinical social worker.
But the point is, I think what I like is ethics, right? Is you get the training and ethics for that. Yeah. And I'm just bringing this up, folks, because I did have a client that didn't have a good reading from someone. They were not Carmen. It was not.
They have not wrote me yet, but I wanted to tell you I will help them if they want to.
I gave them your information. I said, please get it done from Carmen.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up reaching out to Carmen regarding this person because I said, this doesn't feel ethical to me. Yeah. And that is happening out there.
Oh yeah. It's and that is something that I'm going to be working on, is maybe developing a course, on ethics and astrology. And that's because astrologers, not all astrologers are licensed or trained counselors or have that background, that skill set, and maybe never even had an ethics course ever. Like you're not supposed to date your clients, like you need you're a mandated reporter of child abuse, things like that. If you're a therapist, astrologers are unique. They're offering in-depth counseling which I feel is deeper than, 8 sessions of therapy. Doing someone's chart is very, very deep. And it needs to be seen as sacred. Like, you need to be careful what you say,
confidential,
because it's their soul.
the
It's the
seeds you're planting. Like, if you're dealing, well, this is the part that alerted me, and I was like, red flag, and and that's why I contacted you, because I'm like, something's up here. I need to talk to you about,
Oh yeah.
And then I referred my client to you, but the red flag is when you're dealing with mental health issues.
Oh yeah.
And you're giving someone information, and that person is mental health is already compromised.
Yes.
I'm so glad that you're going to be doing the ethics on this, and that you're going to be doing classes, and you're going to be spearheading it, really.
Yeah, because it's a thing. I mean, it happened to me when I was 19. I had already been doing charts on my own and practicing, just really starting out in St. Louis. And I went to a psychological astrologer this was back in 1994 or something. I mean, it's 95. And I never had anyone do my chart. Like, I knew it myself, and I thought, okay, I'll have somebody do it. And I've never really done it much since. I really don't have a lot of people look at my chart, but I had him look at it, and he said to me, your sun is in the 12th house. Anything you put before God will be taken away from you.
Oh,
yeah. And I'm in social work school at the time, to be a counselor. What? And I was scared. I was like, what? Like, I mean, I knew the sun in the 12th house was mysterious, and there wasn't a lot of books about it. That's why, because of that experience, I started researching the 12th house and started trying to help people, because there was a lot of negativity online. You couldn't find anything positive about 12th house and 8th house. So that became my mission. And those are my two favorite houses, because they're houses of spiritual gifts and strength and resilience. So it's not all bad, but it's the way he said it. And it stuck with me, because he's like,
it's hard to shake when someone says, whether any kind of reading, any kind of spiritual reading. And, I'm very careful. And I tell people that when I do my spiritual counseling, that I'm just not going to pull stuff out of the air.
No. And you gotta know, that's what I'm going to develop too, is a lot of resources for astrologers that are wanting to do counseling certification, because then they need to have a toolkit, a toolbox of, the suicide hotline, places they can go to get counseling, referrals, because it's like counselors, astrologers are all unique and all have different gifts and skills. Not every counselor, we don't always like our therapist or our counselor.
It's not always the right fit.
And don't click. And so we refer. We're like, hey, or maybe I'm not a specialist in EMDR, but I'm a specialist in play therapy. Okay, I'm going to refer you somewhere. Astrologers should also do the same. If you're not a specialist in astrocartography, or you're not a specialist in relationship therapy or counseling charts, you need to refer to someone that is.
The same thing happens in coaching. I'm going to be honest, in professional coaching.
Nobody can do it all. I mean, we have our
coaches. There are coaches out there that imply they can do it. Oh yeah, I do that. Oh yeah, I do that. I coach in that. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
You got
to have training and some experience when you market yourself a certain way.
You got to know your niche. We've only got about a minute and a half here, Carmen. Anything that they should be thinking about this week? I mean, I'm just going to stick with my, don't be afraid to, what about Bob story? I love it. And that is to
baby steps.
You don't need to throw everything out, the baby with the bathwater. Really, maybe you make one tiny change, like leave work an hour earlier. Right?
Yes.
Maybe that's the change in your life that you need to make. Go ahead. Yeah. What's your tip?
Baby steps, Bob. Yeah.
Baby steps, Bob.
I mean, I say that all the time, like people, when you're afraid of change, like with this new moon in Tauruses dislike change. They don't like it. They're resistant to it because they like stability, comfort, and they like sameness. They want to be patient. They're slow to make change. So Tauruses are known for the baby steps. So this new moon is perfect. Make 3 little things. Make a little list of 3 little mini goals, little things. It could be wake up an hour earlier every day, or eat breakfast.
Prepare your meals for work or something.
Yes.
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps.
Yeah.
To change a habit. A habit takes, what do they say, 21 days to really change a habit?
Yeah.
So you gotta be dedicated, and just
you
take your time. Be patient.
Be patient. Be
Yeah, the
patient,
Taurus.
everyone.
Yeah. Tap into Taurus.
And the new moon's in Taurus, so it'll help you out. Okay, everyone, that's all we have time for this week. Thanks for listening to another episode of Deep Dive. And don't forget to head over to YouTube right now and subscribe to our channel, Deep Dive with Carmen and Sherianna. We'll see you next Sunday.
Hi, this is Carmen Turner Schott, author and psychological astrologer. My newest books are Your Astrological Energy and Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon. Both offer powerful insights to help you understand your emotions and your spiritual journey through astrology. Discover how your birth chart can help you heal, transform, and become more resilient. Visit my website today at carmenturnershott.com and grab your copies on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and online stores.
Looking to transform your life? Sherianna Boyle, author of 11 powerful books, invites you to take a deep dive. Explore her emotional detox series, discover manifesting with energy in action, and connect with spirit in her latest book, Just Ask Spirit. Start your journey today. Find all her books at sheriannaboyle.com. Thank you for tuning into Deep Dive with Sherianna Boyle and Carmen Turner Schott. If today's episode inspired you, don't forget to share, subscribe, and leave us a review. For more insights and resources, visit carmenturnershott.com and sheriannaboyle.com. Until next time, keep diving deep into your soul's journey.